Hi, this is Prasant. Today I'm glad to talk to you about dissolving all suffering that we experience with sound and music. So earlier I'd been talking to you about realizing your real nature through music. In some ways it's the same thing. When you dissolve all suffering, you realize your nature. But when I emphasize one aspect of it, reveals different details, reveals different nuances in our experience when we're looking into it. So that's why I'm talking about dissolving the suffering through sound and music. And like I've been saying, it's a wonderful and easy way for anybody to do, especially those of us who love music and sound. So this is a particular step actually that you can take when you're listening to music, how to dissolve suffering. Where is the suffering that you experience? It's in the mind, it's in the body. So it's the feeling that we experience in the body usually, or it's a feeling that we experience thinking about something that's ultimately related to our body. So the sound, if we look into what sound is made of, it actually vibrates. You could say it's a vibration of energy that vibrates at a faster speed than, you could say, physical matter in some ways. And the experience of it, when you experience sound, it's very visceral. It's extremely visceral, where if you hear a loud noise, you might feel it physically in your body. If you feel a pleasant noise or something of that nature, you might feel pleasant. So this is the power of sound. It's the reason I'm focusing on sound so much is because, first of all, we know that from what I've been saying, the sound leads you into the silence itself. So the silence itself is really all we need to dissolve all the suffering. But why I'm focusing on the sound, sometimes we don't perceive the existence of the silence that's already here. Silence being another word for truth and reality. We don't perceive it because it's very subtle at first. Ultimately, having perceived it, it becomes the most apparent and the only thing that is in and as everything. But if you're struggling with the mind, or you are not feeling that yet, it helps to have a way to lead you into that truth that you already have. So sound is a wonderful way because it comes from silence. It's the child of silence. It's the vehicle for silence, but it comes in a form that we can all notice and perceive right away. Very easy. It doesn't take any effort to listen to music or sound, really. So the sound being more noticeable, if we look into the function of that, we can easily feel what it is, feel ourselves in a different way. So continuing on, here's something you can actually try to implement. And since the topic of this video is dissolving the suffering, perhaps you can try it when you're having something difficult happening to you or feeling something difficult. Right now, a lot of people are upset about what's happening in the news. Well, actually, that's a perpetual thing. People are usually upset about what's happening in the news, but certain periods it's worse than others. So even if it's not something going on with you and your family or your friends, your community, it could be what's happening in a larger community. Or you might just be having certain difficulties within yourself that are coming up. So why do I mention this? I've met people who feel that they're not suffering. They haven't, not interested in truth or anything like that. But they're still living in the mind, but they feel, hey, I'm happy. Things are great for me. I've got everything going well. Doing very well in my life. Everything's just happening. No problem. I'm not suffering. They'll say that. So sometimes the suffering is actually covered up by a thick cloud or a thick layer of thought conditioning. So they're enjoying life so much, and they have so many thoughts and concepts that they're actually not able to notice that they are suffering. The indication of suffering is the feeling of separation, being separate and not feeling the underlying and pervading unity, which exists on a fundamental feeling level. That means it's there before anything arises, and it continues to remain as everything is here, whatever we experience, in the active life of the world and universe. So for those people, they might be like, hey, I'm all good. But then a lot of us, might feel like certain days are really difficult. And then you want help. You want help, and that's an important time. So when you're feeling these when you're having these difficulties, you can try this. If you're not having the difficulties, you can also try this and just discover your nature. So you can be having a good time and still discover your real nature. You may not feel like you need any help, but then it doesn't have to be help. It could just be a discovery and subsequent stabilization in truth. And if you are really having a difficult time, that discovery will give you relief from suffering. It will give you release from suffering. And it can put an end to suffering permanently. So it's a simple technique, but don't be fooled by its simplicity and ease. A lot of these recipes you get, some major diseases or something, you might see these online, and some people have found them to be true. Someone has some ailment, and then you go to a doctor and they prescribe you a very complex series of medicines, and you have to do all these tests. And then someone finds out you drink some lemon juice and water for 3 days, and then the ailment goes away completely. That's all I had to do? I thought this was an extremely, serious disease, ailment or something. It's just an example. I'm not saying it applies to everything, but so similarly to this, the truth, realizing your nature, incredibly direct and simple. Why people don't realize it? Simply because it requires taking that one simple step. It's just one step, but it has to be taken. So then finally something pulls you, and then you take the step, maybe unknowingly, I don't know. So anyways, let's look at dissolving your suffering instantly, right here and right now. Before you try this, I suggest dropping as though you had a big camping backpack with all your belongings in it of your whole life. all your clothes, all your stuff, your cars, your musical instruments if you're a musician. Everything is in this giant backpack on your back. So I suggest you remove it and put it down. Take it off and put it down. You've been carrying it for so many years, right? Carrying it on your back. I suggest try to take it off and please just put it down for a minute. You can pick it back up again if you want later. What does this really mean? It means putting aside every concept you have, every identification you have with who you think you are, who you feel you are, all the experiences you've had that make you sort of a contained entity, all those limiting feelings. Put them aside. Notions, concepts, what you think realization should be like. Who is it? What are the type of people that are realized? Or very common one, I can never realize. Only those great people. For normal people, it's not possible. All those concepts, put them down and just set them aside for a minute. It's like if your desk is very cluttered and you want to work on something, you just push it to the side and you start working if you have to get something done. It is more important than cleaning a desk. So right now, more important than taking your backpack, all the stuff, and sort of looking through everything, just set it aside and come to just being yourself. That's all. Ramana would say, Sumaya, and many people, not just him, just be yourself. It's nothing more easy, more true, more direct than just being yourself. And there's nothing else you can be. Have you ever tried to be something other than yourself? You can't. It's impossible. So just be, and he would add, and I would also 100% agree, you already are being that. So what else is there to do? So hopefully with this brief intro, I hope you don't mind my extended discussion of it. I hope it has relaxed you and helped you put aside some of your ideas, thoughts, reservations. Set it aside. Now let's go into the technique. When you go to sleep, all the stuff you've done all day long, where does it go? It starts to recede and it's like a flower going back, goes backwards. So like that, bring your awareness, which has been completely looking at everything, objects, focusing on this, focusing on that, doing things on Facebook, whatever. Just let it rest, bring it back, and relax. I'm taking it more direct than I planned. So immediately bring it back within yourself and simply rest. Just as you're about to go to sleep. But don't actually sleep. Now listen to the sound that's coming. I'm not sure what I'll do. I might play a sound under this video. So if it's there, listen to it. Otherwise, just remember this instruction. And you can practice it with my other tracks on the other videos here. Listen to the sound, allow it to completely envelope and fill you up. Notice that it's already doing that. It's already filling you completely just by perceiving it. And how is it filling? How is it filling the awareness? That's the beauty of the music, the sound. Doesn't it show you the infinite nature of this landscape that we have? That just a sound can fill your entire awareness completely, taking your attention off other things. It's like magic. It's really like magic. You want magic and you want excitement and miracles. This is a miracle. Allow the silence in the sound to make itself known to you. Contemplate that many musicians would talk about using silence in their solos, using silence as it's part of the music. But here I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something deeper than that. It's not silence as opposed to sound. It's the silence, the reality that is the music, that is the sound. So feel every note completely full of silence itself. Maybe it's just one note. How do you feel it? How is it possible? When the note subsides, you've been enjoying that note, drop into the silence, the actual noticeable, literal silence, say, in the physical sense, that follows the sound stopping. And then stay in that silence. You'll notice right away when that happens, you'll drop to a deeper sense of restfulness. The restfulness is itself the awareness. I don't think it's different from awareness. The awareness by nature is restful, deep, impersonal, and the restfulness is full of the truth of awareness, truth of beingness. So just rest there. Now when the silence emerges after the sound subsides and you feel that deep restfulness, keep resting there. Go deeper, keep dropping anything that comes up. After that, when the sound comes again, what you'll notice is the sound will actually come now from a deeper place of the restfulness from where you are. And you will enjoy the sound in that deeper restfulness. Then, when that sound subsides, the silence that emerges after that sound will maybe give you even more deeper rest. And you just keep resting deeper, deeper, and deeper, which is like going down into the ocean. You start at the top, which you have waves, tons of waves. Then you go down deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And what happens in the ocean when you get deeper? It's more still. There's more pressure. What happens with pressure? Stillness, richness, depth, and silence. So all the examples are there in nature. We don't actually have to look anywhere to find them. So you stay in that deep ocean of silence. Now what happens when you rest and rest and rest in this deep ocean, or this deep silence, the deep restfulness of just being? You don't even have to call it awareness, it's just one word. You don't have to call it anything. You don't even have to call it silence. Forget about even silence, just being. But no words or no ideas, concepts. Now what happens when you're resting like this? When the next thing begins to arise, it becomes totally obvious that that is completely permeated, filled with this that you are. Now it has changed from, some silence or something. This is what you are. Why do you feel that way? Because during this process, your body practically dissolved. I mean, you might feel the sensations of your body. You might feel, okay, I'm still breathing, there's breath. But the fact that I am limited to this dissolve. So now when you come back, you know, some of you may experience that you don't know where your body is, or, you know, you can't move your body maybe for a minute. That's totally normal. Or you might just be incredibly relaxed. All of these are 100% perfectly fine. But what you'll notice is that whatever starts to arise after that, it will not really feel like something else. It will just feel like spontaneous arising. The feeling of opposition from another object, and it's the happenings of that object, the actions of whatever, that might be another person, that opposition, that feeling of that's something other than me, or it dissolves. It has dissolved. That's why it's called just being, silence, or it's called a self. That means there's only one, that the self, I wouldn't even say it's one self, they just call it the self. Everything is that. So continue to rest in that. Stay in the silence. Relax. And when you come out of it, enjoy this perspective throughout the day. Now, the cool thing about this approach is that since you worked with something that you experience almost continuously throughout the day, since you worked with that medium, which is music and sound, to point you back to your own self, your beingness, throughout the entire day you'll be greeted with the same sense. You'll be hearing things all day. So every time now you hear sound and music, it's now immediately going to send you back to the source. You contemplate on this all day long, every day. And it's only a matter of time until the truth is continuous, completely certain, and a completely stable and restful, peaceful, powerful freedom that doesn't come and go. So enjoy this. It ended up being longer than I had initially guessed it would be, but I do hope it's useful to you. If you feel that silence now, feel free to sit quietly for a while, as long as you feel comfortable doing, and enjoy yourself. Enjoy your home that's here and everywhere. Now, they say home is where the heart is. That's everywhere is your home. Your heart is everywhere. What is the heart? It's the silence. So now you've discovered it. Now everywhere you go is home. There's nowhere you can go that's going to create any disturbance. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Have a good day. Feel free to subscribe and stay in touch with me. By all means, posting these. Don't feel that it's a sort of detached thing. I'm just posting these videos and someone happens to see, and that you can't contact me or something. You absolutely can contact me. So go to my website, send me a message if you have any questions, and we'll stay in touch either way. Okay, have a great day. Thank you.